Good morning. We are on day 4, and today we're jumping into Job. Again, we're staying chronological with this study, so we'll get back to Genesis after Job, but we'll begin with Job today, and it was chapters 1 through 5. What did it say to you? What did you glean from those chapters?
Well, it states right at the beginning the basic things we know about Job. He was an upright, blameless man. He feared God. He turned from evil, and God blessed him with a tremendous amount of wealth and a large family. And he was one of the greatest men of the East. Of all the people in the East, it said at that time. And in fact, he was so concerned for his family that he offered sacrifices for them just in case one of them had sinned that day.
We saw that Satan approached God and said he's only blameless because you're protecting him.
Yeah.
So what we saw about God in that situation is that God sets the limits. This battle with Satan is not an equal one with God by any means.
And that Satan had to go and request permission to test him.
Yes, and was limited in what he could test, and he did not step over that.
Right.
So he ended up taking away all of his possessions, his servants, and even the lives of his children.
Yeah.
And yet, you were saying earlier, God still talked about Job's integrity.
Yeah, when Satan...
In chapter 2.
When Satan comes back and says, well, where have you been? God says, where have you been? Roaming around on the earth. And he said, you considered my servant Job. And he repeats, he's blameless, he's upright, and turns from evil. And he says, yeah, but you still have this hedge around him. It says, you take his life and or touch him and his health, and he'll curse you. And so God says, okay, you can do anything you want to him, you just can't kill him.
Yeah. So what do we see about God?
That he's still in control of those situations, and he still sets the limits. He is not unaware of what's going on.
Of any of our trials.
But he doesn't necessarily have to explain it to us either.
No. And he knows us.
Right.
Just like he knew Job.
He knew Job was going to stand firm.
Even though all this came and Job was unaware why. Sometimes we don't realize there's a battle in the heavenlies going on. And all we know is what we see physically. In fact, that's all his friend knew at the end of this reading.
Yep.
He was looking at the circumstances and saying, well, you must have sinned is why this is happening to you, which is not true. Yeah. But God knows us, and God is sovereign. And then we saw 2 reactions. How his wife responded.
Yeah.
Reacted, really.
Curse God and die.
That was her reaction, curse God and die. And Job had an intentional response. And I really like that. At the end of chapter 1, in the midst of these trials, he arose, tore his robe, shaved his head, and fell to the ground and worshipped.
Yeah.
He said, naked I came from my mother's womb, naked I shall return there. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Through all of this, Job did not sin, nor did he blame God. What an encouragement that that's a possibility to respond instead of react.
Yeah. And how different it is from even times in my own life or when you've seen other people, something happens and the first thing they do is they blame God or they turn from God.
So we have a choice. We can react by what we see, or we can respond. And I think the difference, the key is, where's your focus? Yeah. Her focus was on all that was going on, and his was on the Lord. So may that be an encouragement to you today. I know it is to me.
So we'll continue on tomorrow as we continue in the book of Job. And we look forward to you joining us again. And have a blessed day.